Kalkadosh, Boker or Masechet Makkot Daf Yomi Daf Amud Aleph 11a1. We're by the two dots, which is going to be 2, 4, 6, 8 lines down. We have a siman, a mnemonic. Simanei Rabbanan Me'amnei V'Sifri. Pligi ber Rav Yehuda v'Rabbanan. There's a machlok between Rav Yehuda and Chachamim, right? Why is it that the parasha in Sefer Yehoshua is talking about a miklat? Chad Omer. Why was it written in Lashon Azah? So Chad Omer, one of them says Mipnei Sheshiham, because he didn't actually separate them immediately. Meaning Moshe Rabbeinu came and he did it right away. Yoshua bin Nun did not separate it right away. Because of that, he spoke to him harshly. He say, "Hey, what's going on? Right? You have to be like your rabbi, right? Like your teacher. Your teacher didn't even wait. He already knew that it wasn't even going to count, and it didn't matter. He went and he separated. Why? Mitzvah comes here and you run to do it. Yoshua didn't do it. Because of the Torah. So it says the Gemara, right? Sefer Torah Elokim. So Yoshua came and he wrote the Dvarim Ha'ele in Sefer Torah Elokim. One of them says Shmona Psukim, the last 8 Psukim of the Torah. Meaning, who was one? Because there it already says that Moshe Rabbeinu passed away. So who wrote the last 8 Psukim of the Torah after Moshe Rabbeinu? So it's Yoshua. So that's what he says over here. Yoshua bin Nun. Right? And one of them comes and he says, Miklat. And no, it's talking about that he wrote the parasha of Miklat. I understand according to the Mandamar, it says 8 Psukim. That's why it says Sefer Torah Elokim and the Sefer Torah. But according to the Mandamar that he wrote to Miklat, why does it say Sefer Torah Elokim? It's not Sefer Torah, it's Nach. It's Nevim. It's not the Torah. So he says, Hachi Kamar, this is what he's saying. Yoshua wrote in a sefer these things, these devarim, which was written in Torah Elokim. Sefer shetifaro bepishtan. What happens if you have a sefer Torah that you came and you started sewing it with linen, with pishtan? So one of them says kasher, one of them says pasul. Right? It should be the Torah Hashem in your mouth. What does that mean? The Sefer Torah and everything is going to be a hekesh, a makish to the tefillin, just like the tefillin. You have to do with gidin, it has to be with the sinus, right? So he says, so too the entire Sefer Torah has to be done with sinus. But according to the Mandamar, when is there a hekesh? Lemutar beficha, right? That it's only going to be on klaf, which comes from or be'ema teorah, from something which you're allowed to eat, which is basically from the skins of a pure animal, of an animal that you're allowed to eat from it. The ilchotav, but not to the halachot. Amarav Rav says, Chazilun lul tefillin bechavivi. I saw the tefillin of my uncle, the tefillin bekitna that was actually tefillin also bepishtan. But rather you have to do it with gidin, and that's what we do nowadays. Nowadays you take the tefillin, you see the sinus that is used to sew up the tefillin and everything, or the gid. All those things is going to be sinus. Says the Mishnah in the middle of Yud Aleph Amud Aleph. Echad mashuach b'shem למשחה, ואחד מרובע בבגדים, ואחד שעבר משיחותו, מחזירין את הרוצח. Remember that the Goel Adam, the person that killed by accident, he runs to the Yom Miklat. Until when does he have to stay until the Yom Miklat? Until the Kohen Gadol dies. When the Kohen Gadol dies, he's allowed to leave the Yom Miklat. Which Kohen Gadol? So says the Gemara, it doesn't matter whether the Kohen Gadol was whether it's Mashuach B'Shem Mishcha, that he was anointed. Remember that they were anointed with the oil. It was only Malchut Bet David, right? Malchut Yehuda, until Yoshiyahu Melech Yehuda. Or even if it's going to be Merubeh Begadim. Merubeh Begadim means that he wasn't anointed with oil, but he had a lot of clothing. Meaning, remember, the Kohen Gadol has how many clothing? No. No. In between. It's not exactly in between, but wheat. Yeah, 8. 8. Remember that a regular Kohen Idiot has 4. 4, so it's double. He's got 8. That's why it says Merubeh Begadim. He's got more Begadim. So it says here, whether he's going to be Merubeh Begadim. Yeah, everything. Even the turban, everything, even though it's a hat, it's called a beged. Everything is called a beged.
For the Mashiach and the Kohen who has the
Begadim.
The same power of the oil.
No, he's a regular Kohen Gadol. He's a regular Kohen Gadol, but they stopped using the oil. So even though they stopped using the oil, but he's still a Kohen Gadol. So it means he became a Kohen Gadol through Merubeh Begadim, by putting him on the more clothing. But he's still a Kohen Gadol. So if he dies, he also is the same thing. Okay? Or Echad Shavar Mimshichato, which means that he had to leave being the Kohen Gadol because there was a psul for whatever it was. Right? And then he came back. Yeah? So, and all these 3 people, right, they go back. Machzirin Tarotzeach. It's going to bring back the Rotzeach, meaning one of these people die, that's it. Rabbi Yehuda says, even the one that goes out to the war, if he dies, he goes, right, the Machzir Tarotzeach. Therefore, the mothers of the Kohanim, they used to give presents, they used to give clothing and presents, everything, in order that they should not pray for their children to die. So imagine, the mothers of the Kohen Gadol used to go to the jails, and give them presents. So way they don't pray that he should die. Why? Because the second that they receive a soborno, that they receive a little bit of what do you call this? They receive a bribery. It's very difficult for them to pray with a full heart because they feel bad. What the mother just came and they gave him clothing, they gave him imagine a Hugo Boss, and now he's going to come. He's going to pray that the son should die. It takes away that even if they pray, it's not with the same heart anymore. Which one? Of course, prayer works, which is an incredible concept. Okay, Menanimile says the Gemara. Yeah, how do we know these words? Menanimile. How do we know these words? Amar kind of says the pasuk says it. Pasuk says v'yashav ba. He's going to sit in the city. Ad motor kohen gadol. Uchtiv it says kimim yashav motor kohen gadol. Uchtiv ve'achare motor kohen gadol. Meaning, since it says 3 times achare motor kohen gadol, those 3 times are 3 different types of kohen gadols. Kohen mashuach b'shemen, kohen merubah b'gadim, the kohen which is davar b'mshuchato. The last one was the one that he was taken off from his power because he had a psul, he had a disqualification, and then he came back up or whatever it was. So those 3, meaning since it says 3 times yarad, right, until the death of the Kohen Gadol, 3 different Kohen Gadol. What about Rabbi Yehuda? Because remember, Rabbi Yehuda said also the one that's anointed to go to war. It says lashuv ba'aretz ad mot Kohen Gadol, also ad mot Kohen. So again, he's also learning the same thing. The Yidach, another one, right? Since it doesn't say a gadol. It's one of these. Meaning, according to the rabbis, not according to the Tanakama, not according to Yehuda, it didn't say in the last pasuk Admota Kohen Gadol. It says Admota Kohen. So therefore, it's one of those that we just mentioned beforehand. Okay, next 2 dots. So therefore, the mothers of the Kohanim used to come and give them presents. Ta'ama dilomatzu, only because they didn't pray. Hamatzlu, mighty says, I don't understand. John Paul's question, the doctor's question. He says, what if they pray? He's going to die. He says, what if they just come and they just curse the guy? There's no reason to curse him. What's the reason why it's going to happen? What's going on? So he says, Amara Usaba, says Asaba, right? I'm going to come and I'm going to explain it to you. They are a little bit at fault. You know why? The Kohen Gadol's mission, his job, is that he had to pray for the entire nation. And he didn't. Meaning the fact that a death came by accident through these guys was because of the Kohen Gadol. Because the Kohen Gadol has the obligation to pray for everybody. And if he didn't pray for everybody, it is a little bit of his fault. And therefore, since it's a little bit of his fault, when they come and they kill him because they're praying that he should die, it's actually going to work. It's a powerful statement. Yeah, exactly. They have some fault. They're going to say, Lorainu, right? We didn't spill the blood. Everything that you're right. Physically, you didn't spill the blood. But you're at fault of something. There's something there. Okay? Fine. And some people say, in order they should pray that they shouldn't die. Meaning not that they should pray that they should, meaning that they should stop them from dying. That they should pray that they shouldn't die. Only because they prayed. If they pray, they're going to die. So he says, what should have done? And here we're going to say, Tuvia chatav zigud mangid. It says what? Tuvia sins and zigud is going to get lashes. So hatam amra there they say Shechem nasiv, right? Mavgai gazid. He says what? Shechem gets married to a woman, and Mavgai is going to do milah, meaning Shechem ben Chamor, he took Dinah bat Yaakov, but the Hanaa was his Hanaa. But now the people of the city were the ones that got killed. So why do they have to do bri milah for him? Think about it. Who was the one that took Dinah? Shechem. Who has the which one? No, Chamor was the father. Right? Shechem ben Chamor. Right? So he says, right? So Shechem is the one that he took him. So now Shechem is going to come and he's going to take the Dinah. But who has to do the Brit Milah? Shamgai? What's going on? Mavgai? Which one? Yeah, but Ki'ilu, then why should we suffer for somebody else? Right? Why are we? He's the one that's getting all the benefit and we have to suffer. Why do we have to do Brit Milah for him? You understand? That's what he's saying. So he says, Elmaleh Usaba, says Usaba, I heard it. This is what they said. They should have prayed. They didn't pray. They should have prayed. They should have prayed for their generation, and they didn't pray. There was a person, right, that what happened was that a lion came and he ate him up. That he was a distance of 3 parsaot of Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi. You know what 3 parsaot is? Just to understand, every parsa is 4 mil. Every mil is just under, okay, it's a machloket with it just under a kilometer. Let's say it's a kilometer. So that means every parsa is 4 mil. Okay? So that means every parsa is 4 kilometers. Here it's 3 parsaot, 12 kilometers. How much is that in miles, doctor? No, it's less. It's less.
9.
9? Okay, 8, 9, whatever it is. Right? Even if you're going to tell me 8 miles. You know what 8 miles is? From here to where? I don't even know if you get to the airport with 8 miles. Miami Airport, you get the 8 miles?
8 miles. You
Yeah.
go
To 7.5 miles.
There you go. You see? Loca.
middle of Sinai. From here to the middle of Sinai.
From here to the middle of Sunny Isles? That's 8 miles? Bemet?
8 miles?
Nah, impossible.
It's
Impossible.
No. It's from here to.
So imagine how far away. What happened? He didn't come for 3 days. Eliyahu Navi didn't come to Rishon Levi. Why? Because the lion came and he ate up a guy right beside him. So Amar of Yehuda Marav says Yehuda Marav, right? So therefore, just to show you that he should have prayed that nobody should be killed within his territory. So Amar of Yehuda Marav says Yehuda Marav, Kilat Chacham afilu bechinam iba. Do you know Kilat Chacham? Even bechinam is going to come. Menanan, how do we know that? From Achitofel. Shebeshar shekara David shitin kafa tehoma, because at the time when David the Melech came and he started digging the tehom, right? This is a famous Gemara. I'll explain to you something beautiful afterwards. Right? David the Melech came and he started digging exactly all the water came up. What? Yeah, we spoke about it many times. You remember? So what happens? The water came up. Amari came and he said, right? Can I write the name on a piece of pottery? And I'm going to throw it inside, right? In order to bring down the water. So nobody answered him. Amari says, anybody that knows doesn't tell him, he's gonna get do you call it? Strangled. Yeah, so he says, Nasach Achitofel Kal V'chomer Tzmo. So Achitofel then came and he made Kal V'chomer. Amar, he said, U'ma la'asot shalom ben ish lishto amra Torah shema shemin shenichtav b'kedusha yimachel hamayim. If to do shalom bayit, you're allowed to come and you're allowed to do, right? You're allowed to come and erase the name of Hashem. L'chol ha'olam kulo. Here it's the entire world. Obviously it's shalom bayit. It's shalom bayit with the entire world. Amar le, it's a shadi, it's permitted. K'tav Shem Chaspa, he wrote the name on the piece of pottery. V'shadi Toma, and he threw it into the tehom. Nachat v'kama duchte. So then the water came down. V'afilo achin, still, it's written, he wasn't done his advice. And what happened? He went on the Chamor. He went to his house. To his city. He gave a will, and then he was strangled. So you see from you that even though it was a hilela v'chacham, right? It was a curse of a chacham. But even if it was no reason, meaning David HaMelech had no reason to curse him, it still comes because it's a chacham. Meaning when a chacham comes and a rabbi comes and he curses, whoa, los moros. Yeah, you have to be very, very careful. So he says, Amar Rabbi Avu, says Rabbi Avu, Kilat chacham afilu al t'nai, Kilat chacham, even if it's going to be on t'nai, it's going to be, that means even not only if it's going to be al chinam, afilu al t'nai, it's going to come. Hiba, minalan, how do we know that? Me Eli, from Eli. The Kamar Eli Shmuel was, it says Eli to Shmuel, Ko yaseh lecha Elohim v'cho yosif intechem mimeni devar. Right, this is what's going to meaning that Eliah Cohen came and told Shmuel, if you're not going to tell me what's going on, this is what's going to happen. V'afagav, and it's still written, right? Ve'yagelo Shmuel lekol adrim ha'eleh ve'yokach mimenu. V'afilu achitiv, and it's written, v'lo alchu b'nav d'irachav. His children, meaning the curse was that his children did not go on his path. Okay, so his children did not go on his path. Okay, Yudalef Amubet. Yeah? Amar Rav Yehuda 11b. Amar Rav Yehuda Marav says to me, Rav, Nidui al Tanai. Tzarich hafara. Do you know that even if they made a nidui is excommunication, on condition, you also have to annul it. Why minalan? From Yehuda. It says in the pasuk, remember Yehuda came and he told Yaakov Avinu, if I don't bring back Binyamin, I'm going to consider a sinner to you all the days. What does it mean in the pasuk? He says, the 40 years that the Jews were in the desert, the bones of Yehuda were rolling around because of this nidui. Until he asked for mercy, and he said, who was the one that caused Reuven to admit in his sin? What was the sin of Reuven? The beds. Switching the beds. Right, that he put the bed instead of the maidservant of Rachel into his mother's bedroom, right, in the mother's tent. So then he listened. So then the bones came back into the place. But it wasn't able to go up to Yeshiva Shel Mala, to the Yeshiva up above in the Shamayim. So then again, he was able to go into the Yeshiva Shel Mala. But he wasn't able to fight in Divrei Torah. Yadav Rav Lo, he's going to have strong hands. But he didn't know how to answer the questions. So you see that the entire pasuk was a tefillah that Moshe Rabbeinu had to pray in order to get Yehuda, that at the beginning, to get his bones together, then to get him into the Yeshiva Shel Mala, then to understand what they're talking about, then to fight in Torah, and then to know how to answer questions. Each one of them was another tefillah that Moshe Rabbeinu had to pray in order to get Yehuda right to such a level where he was. It's incredible, Yisod. But why? Because he made it a nidui on condition. The nidui was on condition. At the end, he brought back Binyamin. But still, you got punished. Yeah? That means it was like, still need afara. So they ask a question. 1 second. We said in the Mishnah, if the Kohen Gadol dies, which Kohen Gadol? We gave you 4 options. First, at the beginning, 3, and then review the 4th one. Right? So, 4th one, Kohen Mashuach bin Chama, the one that goes out to war. Right? So now, the question is, that's Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda is the one that says the one that goes out to war. And we learned from different psukim, yes or no. Okay, so now the question is, do all 3 of them have to die? Or is it only one? Meaning each one. So says the Gemara, Tashma, we're going to try to bring a proof. Nigmar dino blo Kohen Gadol. When was it Nigmar din without a Kohen Gadol? So then what happens? And he never leaves. If they give a verdict and there's no Kohen Gadol, he never leaves the Yidin Miklat. V'im ita, he says, one second, if you do, why don't you just come back with the other ones? Which means, so for the fact that it says, it's muchach, shechazarat harotzeach is all 3 of them. So it's much you need all 3 of them. So answers the Gemara, no, bedeleka, we don't have any of them. Meaning, if right now the guy dies and there's not one of any of these 3 Kohen Gadols, then you're right, he'll never go out free. But usually, Be'emet, it's already enough if it's going to be one of them, right, in order to come and to free them up. Mishnah, Yudalef Amubet, 11b, the Mishnah. If there was Nigmar Din and then the Kohen Gadol dies, he doesn't go to Galut at all. Because since when he died, there was a Kohen Gadol, and the Kohen Gadol died immediately afterwards, he doesn't even go to Galut. But if before the Gemar Din, the Kohen Gadol died, and then they put another one, and then afterwards the Nigmar Dino, then he has to go back at the end of the death of the second one. That means Mamash, he just lost out. Because now he's going to have to wait an entire... Yeah, it's exactly. It's like waiting another Shemitah. Nigmar Dino blo Gadol, if he was Nigmar Din without a Kohen Gadol, or if somebody kills the Kohen Gadol, or a Kohen Gadol that kills, he never goes out. He never goes out. He doesn't go out to the Miklat. Lo ledu mitzvah, lo ledu mamon, lo ledu mishot. He doesn't go. He never leaves the Miklat. Whether it's going to be for a mitzvah, for money testimonies, for testimonies of the nefashot. He said, even if all Yisrael need him, even if he's going to be the general, like Yoav ben Tzuriah, he has to stay there. And he never leaves there. He has to be there. That's going to be where he lives. That's where he's going to be where his death, and that's where he's going to be where he's going to be buried.
Isn't that's because he...
So he says, if the Rotzeach comes outside of the Tchum of the Miklat, Goel Adam, and the Goel Adam finds him, Rabbi Yosef says it's a mitzvah biyad Goel Adam. It's a mitzvah in the hands of the Goel Adam to kill him. It's a mitzvah. But it's a reshut shel kol Adam. Anybody else, they can kill him if they want. But they're allowed to. Rabbi Akiva says, no. It's a reshut in the Goel Adam, meaning the Goel Adam has a permission to do so. It's not that he has a mitzvah to do so. But everybody else, they get killed for it. Meaning, you mind your own business. You don't put your nose in somebody else's business. You understand? That means according to Rabbi Akiva, it's a completely different halakha. Because according to him, any other Joe Shmuel that's going to kill him, he gets killed for it. So it only could be the Goel Adam, according to Rabbi Akiva. According to Rabbi Yosef, no, anybody could kill him. It's only a mitzvah for the Goel Adam, but anybody else could kill him as well. So then it's true. Technically speaking, he doesn't have to be there. Technically, you're right. Yeah. But if one day he decides to change his mind, yeah. My Tama asked the Gemara, what's the reasoning of this din? We're talking about that if the Kohen Gadol dies after the Gemara din and Rotzeach and he still didn't go to Galut, he doesn't have to go to Galut at all. Why not? Abai says it's Kavachomer. If somebody's already went to Galut, he goes out now. Somebody that didn't go to Galut, obviously, doesn't have to go to Galut at all. So says the Gemara, what are you talking about? The one that went to Galut, he already had his kapara. And that's why he doesn't go out. But this guy, he didn't have his galut at all, so therefore, no, he has to go. So says the Gemara, "Miyudi galut ka mechapra." It's not the galut which is mechaper; it's a mitata kohenu de mechapra. This is incredible. You saw the death of the kohen is what is the kapara, not actual galut in itself. He says so. Therefore, that's why it's actually going to be a koach kavachomer that we mentioned above, right? That it basically that's why he doesn't go to the ir miklat. What? Yeah. Okay. Next, imad shalom gmardin. What happens if until the gmardin, the Kohen Gadol dies, and then they put up another one? So you have to wait until the second one. Menanamila, how do we know this? Amar says the Makkot, the pasuk of Yeshabad Mota Kohen Gadol Hashem Ashach Oto B'Shem Kodesh. V'chiyu moshcho. He says, who's the one that's going to moshcho? Elan shenimshach biyamav. It means that he was anointed because he's the murderer is not the one that's anointing the Kohen Gadol. It's that he was anointed. So from here we see that if the Kohen Gadol was anointed after the tzikha, right, he has to go after the second one. So says Gemara, well, what did the second Kohen Gadol do? Meaning, I understood the first time around we said that why is it that if the guy would pray that the Kohen Gadol would die? Because he should have prayed. Here he wasn't even Kohen Gadol. Why should he have prayed? Well, he just became Kohen Gadol after already the guy killed. So what was he supposed to do? Answers the Gemara, he should have prayed that he should have a Gemar Din, the verdict of positive and not negative. Okay? So Amar Abaye says, Naktina, we have a Masoret, Nigmar Dino met. What happens if he's Nigmar Din and then he dies before he went to Galut? They have to take his bones there. Tichtiv, Lashuv, Lashev, Beretz, Baaretz, Admot Kohen, Vezu Yeshiva, Shibaret. What is a Yeshiva? It's Kvura. That means they take his bones to be buried there. So Tana, we learned on the right, Met, Kodem Shemet, Kohen Gadol. What happens if the guy dies before the Kohen Gadol dies? Then they take his bones to Kivravotav Dichtiv. So that means if he dies before the Kohen Gadol, they take his bones to the Kivrei Avotav. What?
What kind of?
What happens if right now he has a Gemar Din that he has to go to Galut, and all of a sudden the Kohen Gadol does not die, but the Kohen Gadol becomes a Ben Gushav and Chalutza, meaning they found out he was a Ben Gushav and Chalutza. So pligi bat samachloket Rabbi released nachach. One that says meta kiuna, it's kilu that he died, and one that says batla kiuna. It's not that it died; it just became batel. So since it became batel, that's it, right? So therefore there was no kohen. So it comes out that now he never goes up. Meaning it's either lenient or complete stringency. Because if you say batla kiuna, it means it was never a kohen gadol. If he died and there was no kohen gadol, what do we say? He has to stay there forever. But according to the other opinion, that it's meta kiuna, that the kohen gadol met. So now he doesn't even have to go to galut. Yeah, two extremes in the spectrum. So says Gemara, Lema beplukta. Why don't we just say that this is machlok between Eliezer and Yeshua becoming palge? Right, the Tanam was learned to the Mishnah. Ya omedu makriv al gabi mizbeach. Imagine right now the Kohen is bringing a korban on the mizbeach. V'noda, and all of a sudden he was found out that he's going to be wearing Yeshua chalutza. Rabbi Eliezer says korban. Everything that he brought was pasul. Rabbi Yeshua machshir. Rabbi Yeshua comes and he says it's going to be kasher. Manda amar meta. According to the mandamar that says meta, Rabbi Yeshua holds like Rabbi Yeshua. Mandamar batla, but according to the mandamar that says batla, he holds like Rabbi Eliezer. So says the Gemara, Liba de Rabbi Eliezer kulam lo pligi. It's not a machloket. Ki pligi when it's a machloket according to Rabbi Yoshua. That means basically the question is, according to Rabbi Yoshua, is he going to be a machshir of the Kohen to everything, or maybe it's only to do with the korbanot?